Shrimad's divine grace, Mother Viskanabhai, Charanadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki, their most merciful Lordship, Shri Shri ki, Shri Jagannath, Shri Baladev, Maya Subhadra ki, Shri Nataji, Shri Balagopal ki, Shri Gornitai ki, Yatai Go Prema. All buddies to the assembly. All buddies to the assembly. All buddies to the assembly. All buddies to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Ram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Dojayam Dhiraya Nasta Prayasya Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistaki. My respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who with the torchlight of knowledge has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to pure devotee, all of his troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. We are reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, which is entitled The Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. Text number 25.
Yes.
Yada Dharmena Tamo Diyo Nripa Yada hi Dharmena Tamo Diyo Nripa Jivanti Tatraisa Hi Satpata Kila Jivanti Tatraisa Hi Satpata Kila Date Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yaso Date Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yaso Bhavaya Rupani Dadhat Yuge Bhavaya Rupani Dadhat Yuge
Yatha Adharmina Tamo Dayo Nirva.
Did I miss one? Bhavaya Rupani Dadhat Yuge
Bhavaya Rupani Dadhat Yuge
Yadahi Adharmena Tamo Diyo Nripa
Yadahi Adharmena Tamo Diyo Nripa
Jivanti Tatraisa Hi Satpatakila
Jivanti Tatraisa Hi Satpatakila
Date Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yaso
Date Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yaso
Bhavaya Rupani Dadhat Yuge
Bhavaya Rupani Dadhat Yuge
Yadahi Dharmena Tamo Diyo Nripa
Yadahi Adharmena Tamo Diyo Nripa
Jivanti Tatraisa Hi Satpatakila
Jivanti Tatraisa Hi Satpatakila
Date Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yaso
Date Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yaso
Bhavaya Rupani Dadhat Yuge
Bhavaya Rupani Dadhat Yuge
Ishta.
Yadahi Adharmena Tamo Diyo Nripa
Yadahi Adharmena Tamo Diyo Nripa
Jivanti Tatraisa Hi Satpatakila
Jivanti Tatraisa Hi Satpatakila
Date Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yaso
Date Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yaso
Bhavaya Rupani Dadhat Yuge
Bhavaya Rupani Dadhat Yuge
Yadeha Adharmina Tamo Dayo Nirva.
Yadahi Adharmena Tamo Diyo Nripa
Jivanti Tat Rasa Hai Sadva Kila.
Jivanti Tatraisa Hi Satpatakila
Date Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yaso.
Date Bhagam Satyam Ritam Dayam Yaso
Bam Ya Rupani Dadha Yuge
Bhavaya Rupani Dadhat Yuge Yada, whenever, he assuredly, adharmena, against the principles of God's will, Dhamadhiya, persons in the lowest material modes, Nripa, kings and administrators, Jivanti, live like animals, Tatra, thereupon, Esa, he, I, only, Satvata, transcendental, Jila, certainly, Date is manifested, Bhagam, supreme power, Satyam, truth, Ritam, positiveness, Dayam, mercy, Yasa, wonderful activities, Vavaya, for the maintenance, Rupani, in various forms, Dadhat, manifested, Yuge, different periods, Yuge, and ages. Yada hi adharmenitamo diyo nipa divanti tatrai sahi satpatakila date bhagam satyam ritam dayam miso bhavaya rupani dadhad yuge. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace of I, Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord, in His transcendental form, manifests His supreme power, the truth, positive, shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Please repeat. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord, in His transcendental form, manifests His supreme power, the truth positive, shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms, as is necessary in different periods and ages. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord, in His transcendental form, manifests His supreme power, the truth positive, shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Purport by His Divine Grace of I, Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As mentioned above, the cosmic creation is the property of the Supreme Lord. This is the basic philosophy of Ishopanishad. Everything is the property of the Supreme Being. No one should encroach upon the property of the Supreme Lord. One should accept only what is kindly awarded him. Therefore, the earth or any other planet or universe is the absolute property of the Lord. The living beings are certainly His parts and parcels, or sons, and thus every one of them has a right to live at the mercy of the Lord, to execute His prescribed work. No one, therefore, can encroach upon the right of another individual man or animal, without being so sanctioned by the Lord. The king or the administrator is the representative of the Lord to look after the management of the Lord's will. He must therefore be a recognized person like Maharaj Yudhisthira or Parikshit. Such kings have full responsibility and knowledge from authorities about the administration of the world. But at times, due to the influence of the ignorance mode of material nature, tamagun, the lowest of the material modes, kings and administrators come to power without knowledge and responsibility. And such foolish administrators live like animals for the sake of their own personal interests. Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai. The result is that the whole atmosphere becomes surcharged with anarchy and vicious elements, nepotism, bribery, cheating, aggression, and therefore famine, epidemic, war, and similar other disturbing features become prominent in human society. And the devotees of the Lord or the faithful are persecuted by all means. All these symptoms indicate the time of an incarnation of the Lord to reestablish the principles of religion and to vanquish the maladministrators. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord then appears in his transcendental form without any tinge of material qualities. He descends just to keep the state of his creation in a normal condition. The normal condition is that the Lord has provided each and every planet with all the needs of the native living beings. They can happily live and execute their predestined occupations to attain salvation at the end, following the rules and regulations mentioned in the revealed scriptures. The material world is created to satisfy the whims of the Nitya Buddha, or everlastingly conditioned souls. Just as naughty boys are provided with playing cradles, otherwise there was no need of the material world. But when they become intoxicated with the power of material science to exploit the resources unlawfully, without the sanction of the Lord, and that also only for sense gratification, there's necessity of the Lord's incarnation to chastise the rebellious and to protect the faithful. When he descends, he exhibits superhuman acts just to prove his supreme right. And materialists like Ravana, Hiranyakasipu, and Kamsa are sufficiently punished. He acts in a manner which no one can imitate. For example, the Lord, when he appeared as Ram, bridged the Indian Ocean. When he appeared as Krishna, from his very childhood, he showed superhuman activities by killing Putana, Agashur, Sakatashur, Kaliya, etc. And then his maternal uncle, Kamsa, when he was at Dwarka, he married 16,108 queens, and all of them were blessed with a sufficient number of children. The sum total of his personal family members accounted to approximately 100,000, properly known as the Yadu Vamsa. And again, during his lifetime, he managed to vanquish them all. He's famous as the Govardhan Dari, because he lifted at the age of only 7, the hill known as Govardhan. The Lord killed many undesirable kings in his time, and as a Kshatriya, he fought chivalrously. He's famous as Asamudva, unparalleled. No one is equal to or greater than him. Om Gyanatamandasya Gananjana Chalakaya Chakshusramritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave. Just realizing this morning, when you see the sun coming through a window, it's like there's rays, right? Those rays would not be visible except for the little tiny particles of dust in the air. Just as those little tiny particles of dust appear visible to the human eye, at night, souls that are not normally visible to the eye, because of the darkness surrounding them, when light does appear, the naked eye is able then to actually see the falling souls that are coming. They're countless, innumerable, countless souls are coming to fill the seeds that are being produced by souls, other souls that are producing offspring. Here we're seeing the description of the fact that Krishna is revealing himself to be God unquestionably by performing activities that no human being can do. And there is a process being explained here that is the normal process for human beings to be brought to the point realizing their prescribed duties and then fulfilling their prescribed duties, and then they would normally get an end result from that. But we're seeing Krishna comes because when people are taking positions of authority and positions of leadership, they can actually upset this normal path of progress that human beings, by normally taking part in their daily activities, would be along the path of. And pointed out here is a fact, too, that many times believers, simply for their belief in God, are persecuted. And this persecution is itself a disruption to humanity at large. So, when I was getting a realization of this morning and see what the spiritual path puts the practitioners on, when the practitioners find themselves on the path of spiritual knowledge, it puts them in a state of consciousness that automatically produces a peaceful environment. Now, when people have in their hearts desires to be able to control others or to control the material energy for the use of their own pleasures, then these are the activities that are described as being a disruption to society. But then what to speak if the whole government is made up of people pursuing their own desires? These governmental positions are made to be representative of the people in common, the ones in the United States. I'm not speaking for any other world nations. From my own experience in the United States, those positions of authority that people have been elected to be put into by the votes of the people, those people are supposed to be of the utmost caliber, we would say, not referring to the size of the gun that they carry in their holster, but pertaining to the manner of their own lives, the manner of their daily activities, revealing to those who put them in that position that they are of such superior quality that they know what is good for the general welfare of all people. But if those people who have been put in those positions because of the power they've been shown to have, and they no longer represent the good or well-being for the people, there needs to be a protection for the people in general. And that's what Krishna, when government itself is so corrupt so as not to be able to provide protection for the common people, then Krishna himself comes and takes that form himself. He takes the government into his own hands, so to speak. But now I was realizing this morning, not to change the subject because it's all related, but this engagement, you're chanting Gayatri, probably, right? Yeah. No. Oh, you don't chant Gayatri. Okay.
Yes.
Well, even though none of you in the audience are chanting Gayatri, as an impetus for you to know how wonderful an experience this means of communication Krishna has himself established for us to be able to have with him. So, in the passing down of the Gayatri mantra, the Guru gives the disciple the experience he is having, a realization of this experience he is having with Krishna through the sound vibration of the mantra he is using for that communication. And then you get to experience your Guru, you're seeing your Guru's love for Krishna in that, right? So then that is passed down as a means as well for you to experience the universe as it is. Because as human beings, we don't know what the universe is like, right? Even with the material design we have found from our use of telescopes, which can magnify the universe maybe thousands of times or hundreds of times, however many times it can, we still can't get a complete view where we are situated. We have to admit that, right? Any human being that has a reasonable amount of understanding knows that as human beings situated in a very tiny space within the universe, that we are so small that we can't see the entirety of it. But through the passing down of the knowledge from the mind of the original person, from the mind of Krishna, I'll say to you because you know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
You don't have to talk to you as though you're atheists, right? From the mind of Krishna comes knowledge of the way this universe, particular universe, is set, the order it's put in, and giving his disciple, the students that are studying under him or learning under his guidance, he passes down the viewpoint of the way he is seeing the universe. And Gayatri Mantra contains that. So, we chant Gayatri Mantra with our eyes practically fully closed, just a little tiny slit open. Because you're not envisioning anything with your physical eyes. You're envisioning what you are chanting about with your mind's eye, right? So your mind's eye using the mind, by the directions given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to form that universe. Your mind forms a picture of the universe for your inner eye to be able to see it, right? And so you are seeing it, and it is described as being. The universe is emanating from the navel of the creative body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the lowest of the planetary systems are coming out of that navel, making up the stem, or the lower part, of the lotus flower. And the base of that lotus flower are like the middle planetary systems. And then you get into the heavenly planetary systems, and they are in the upper part of the lotus. And the lotus itself is seated, is the seat of Lord Brahma. So we are given this description for us to be able, in our minds, to see what we could not see with our physical eyes. But we are seeing what is really there by the words established in our minds from our reading, by that given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. This that we are seeing with the mind in that form has always existed as long as the universe has manifested in the form that Krishna is describing it as, and it will continue to exist in that form. So, its previous existence is still existing in the form of light in the area called the Prakash. Yeah. That is where all history is stored as light. So just like scientists are saying now, if you look at a star, you're not seeing the present condition that star is revealing. You're seeing what happened some time ago in the past, right? So the light that you are seeing is actually history, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's the Prakash. So when you're looking at that reflection, you're seeing the Prakash of that planet's existence, right? In the same way, every act we're taking part in the material world, acting as a force that is building up as a cosmic covering of this universe, what we are calling the false ego. Demigods also have false ego. Demigods are also creating part of the false ego. The false ego is what we are causing our suffering by. And that is making a part of the totality of the karma. And demigods are also being affected themselves by this and are reacting. But they are reacting in ways that Krishna is controlling because of their surrender to Krishna. So even by their wills, they are willing their activities. They're called demigods because they are working within the will of the Supreme Person, which is also leaving an Akashic record, all of their activities. Now, the activities of the demigods are so powerful. They act within the entirety of this realm we are calling the universe. And their activities are so powerful that the waves of it, the reactions of their actions, are causing us storms, vibrations in the universe that can infect, cause tidal waves, hurricanes, typhoons, earthquakes, these kinds of things. We, seeing the results of these activities of the demigods, thinking it to be a local thing that's happening, caused by itself. Much the same way, we look at all the activities of our life as that which we have done. We think we're the doers. But it is all being carried out by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to the laws that he has established at the foundation of this universe. Now, getting back to that Akash, right, which is a history of the past, we are revealing reflections that we are as souls. And being made of light, that body the soul is being made of light. We are reflections of that light, right? Everybody's with me on this? We're reflections of that light that the soul is. So as such, the soul is also manifesting in this world part of that prakash. So all of our history is contained in there too, as well as in what we call the DNA. So just as Krishna is saying that the body is, the soul is manifesting, how does he say? It pervades the entire body. The activity that soul is engaging in the universe is pervading. Think about it. We've been in 8 million different forms of life. This whole universe is for souls that are going up and down. Lower planetary system, middle, upper planetary system, dropping down again, lower planets, all like that. This is the history the soul has itself been going into over and over and over again, this big cycle, birth, death, old age, and disease, left as a history of light. Think about it like that. Your own life manifested here as a soul is leaving itself an Akashic record of everything that you've done here. That is, the light that you are as a soul is leaving a record here of everything it has done. And everything it has done is leaving a mark in that Akashic buildup of the false ego. But as devotees now, what the instruction of Krishna is giving us by allowing our minds now to be absorbed by truth, this truth that we are receiving about the way that the universe is created is unique to those receiving this directly from Krishna. Not everybody is getting this. And so this that we meditate on is going to affect the mind that we are using to do that with in a very positive way. Because now it is being used in an instrument, but there is no mental mind, there is no physical mind in the spiritual world. The soul itself is self-contained and complete. So when we are using the same function of what we're using a mind for now, we will be using an infinite form of energy that the soul itself is. So we will be using the soul proper energy. And it won't be something that we will be within grasp. It'll be realized as something that we are. You see, just as our bodies are making up part of that prakash, like the specks of dust I was talking about coming through the sunlight, We are those little specks also in this universe, making up the light that this universe is, in effect. So this universe is an external expression of what is coming out of the internal energy of Krishna's body. And it is taking on a form by his thought process, which we call dreaming state. That because of his all-knowing nature is revealed as an outward extent of the laws, the perfection. His laws are manifesting. You see, Krishna sees everything as the perfect manifestation of what his laws have caused. There. Everything's perfect. When we are able to be in a state of mind, in a place of peace, when the mind can be used to think about things beyond our own personal existence, we can start to think about the grandest things there are for a human being to be able to conceptualize. And that's what Krishna is trying to make us aware of constantly, is that there are things within our grasp at every moment for our mind to be filled with the pleasure of experiencing. And everything in regards to Krishna's own personal nature is like that, self-satisfying and fulfilling. Now, take this perspective human beings have of prayer, right? The concept of prayer gives the human being the assumption that God is just waiting for him to talk to, right? That God has himself just made it this allotted time for you to take him away from whatever he's doing, to have to listen to whatever you think is most important for him to have to listen to you at that moment, isn't it? Now, if we look at anybody else in any office in the world having any significant importance at all, we would know. You can't just call that person's phone number up and say, hey, I'm coming over, I'm going to spend a few minutes with you. Is that all right? It's not going to happen. And yet, in our minds, we variably put God in that place, don't we? He's at my command. Whenever I want, he's there. I just got to tell him. This is why Krishna, foreseeing that we need him, this is why he comes as Super Soul. It's Super Soul that's answering our questions, our problems, personally, when we're praying. But because we have knowledge also of Super Soul being direct manifestations of Krishna, we think of ourselves as having the ability to interrupt Krishna's engagements, to listen to us, right? So, there may come a time in which we have that personal. But see, this is an assumption made by quote-unquote Christians who have the belief, each and every one of them, that when they pray, they are praying to the one and only that there is. And he's willing to stop whatever he's doing. Listen to them. We're contaminated too. We have that idea as well. But we have to remember, it is Super Soul with us, who knows us more personally than Krishna. Even though, just like he's sharing consciousness with us, right? But how much of it are we getting is the question. And so similarly, Super Soul, being Krishna, they have access to each other's consciousness. But Super Soul is not interfering with Krishna's program, making it to be more important than what Krishna is doing personally himself. So this is Krishna consciousness as well, looked at from the proper human perspective. Because we have to have the proper human realization of where we are with God and our relationship with God, and not to think of ourselves as more important than we are. We're just like one of those little tiny specks of dust coming through the window, reflecting the light. But as a whole, with all the rest of the dust, then the light can be seen. So then it is known to be how great it is, how great the light is. Every little tiny speck makes up its greatness. I hope I didn't bore anybody or get into subject matters that are questionable or offensive. But to me, you know, every aspect of reality that's being revealed by Krishna consciousness so far exceeds, in my mind, anything I've ever read out of a so-called science book. These people's understanding of the purpose of the universe, even. You know, to compute it to be a mathematical computation. I mean, that's intelligence. But then how that mathematical computation has anything to do with us? The link is not fully realized because the laws of God are made for all the living entities that are subject to them. We think of them as a form of punishment to those who disobey them, but they're also a protection to those who become realized of what they are and their function. Laws have functions too, keep everything in its order. Otherwise there would be no order and everything would be chaos and we would all be confused and have to be controlled by ignorance. See, which is what, in effect, is going on. People who are not in self-realization, who are not receiving true knowledge from God, and then, as Bhagavatam is revealing, they're being put into positions of authority, positions of leadership. And that is how mankind, by desiring other than God's rulership, other than God's laws. And with that, he removes himself from God's love. The removal that we have taken by the step we have gained to get into this material universe sets us in a place now subject to laws that don't even exist in the spiritual world. Don't even exist there. We call it gravity, right? Gravity just pulls us and holds us. Can't fly because of gravity. It's not there. Not there. The whole environment, the whole dwelling, so completely different. And what we don't realize too is that every single incarnation we've taken has been, again, one little tiny speck in the souls manifesting one little tiny speck of what it is. Of what it is. And its abilities and the opulences that it holds. 8 million species we've gone through, each of them manifesting various aspects of the soul. But see, back in the spiritual world, we'll have them all again restored. Everything will be restored when we leave the body. So see, what a different perspective to have on the fulfillment of the soul's desires at the time of leaving this body. To see this body for what it really is, it's holding us here. It's keeping us from our full potential. But by constantly working at that full potential that can eventually be manifest suddenly, death will be the escape. Death will be the escape from the chains that hold us. But not to be anticipated as such, because we're engaging in the same activities that we will And we're perfecting those abilities here now, so that eventually we'll gain the ability to become free from the chains, the false egos holding us to these bodies. Yes, ma'am.
What's the purpose of keeping records?
Say that again.
What's the purpose?
Of keeping records. Karma is keeping the records so that every reaction we get is fully just according to the laws established perfectly by Krishna. So as we say, the wind is not allowed to blow even a blade of grass, except by the laws that have been established. And it's in effect, too, you might say, Krishna's evidence, Krishna's justice. He holds evidence himself. All these things that have taken place, we can't say we're innocent when our activities that he has access to can prove otherwise. It's all there as evidence. And it will all be burned, though. See, it's very peculiar when Lord Chaitanya makes a statement establishing that the time we are living in, peculiar to previous times, is such that we are no longer being held accountable for thoughts that we don't act on. Which says that in previous ages they were. Which means that the mind's ability to perform functions in this world were more perfected. Brahmins didn't need matches to light fire or to cause fire to come into being on the altar, because Agni, as a devotee, we now require an artificial means to bring fire into existence. I can practically say without a doubt now, from the realizations I'm getting, that when Krishna consciousness manifests in this golden age at the peak of its being, we won't need matches either. And even the word "we" coming out of my mouth, see, if Krishna is giving me the ability to speak the truth I prayed to be able to speak, that means we'll see these things ourselves, because we're taking part in this process. Krishna is going to let us to see the effect to some extent. We might not be able to live through the whole thing to see the fullness Krishna consciousness will bring to this planet. But I guarantee you, what Krishna will reveal to us in the future will be beyond what our imaginations have conjured the abilities of God to be able to do. Krishna's got a plan for this planet and for every living being in the universe. See, that very significant importance we think of ourselves as. Every living being in the universe has a super soul, recognizing each and every one of them to be thinking of themselves in the same way, right? We think of ourselves as more important than any other living being there is. And we have put ourselves in that place even from Krishna to come into this universe. That's where we put ourselves as more important than Krishna. And we can assure ourselves proof of that is the way we've acted from birth, lived for ourselves. Now look at Dhruva. From childhood, these elevated souls take to God consciousness. From birth, even we're being taught. And when this becomes real to us, we will be bringing children into the world self-realized from birth. That's what the promise is being revealed to us. The time, just continue on this path. Just keep practicing this process. You'll see it. You'll see things glorious beyond what we're calling miracles. Yeah. Krishna's very powerful. We just have to recognize it. We just got to realize it. And every day it will be such a glorious experience of spirituality. We won't not want anything else. There's nothing else you want. Krishna says, you read, what is it? I think it's 11th canto. Basically, the conclusion you'll come to after reading that is, Krishna is asking you, do you want anything more? Do you need anything else? What do you want? I'll give it to you. This is what Krishna is basically saying in his Bhagavatam. His Bhagavatam is so amazing. What effort we can see God has made himself to free all humanity, all life, because that which we are, we haven't always manifested as. And so all those forms that we have manifested as before have the same potential as we now are revealing the possibility of for them. The little ant, the fly, the bug, the bee. Potential human beings. Potential lovers of God. Potentially going back to Godhead. If in your presence they hear you chanting, you make it all the better. You make it all the better for them. You make it all the faster for them. John, any comments, any questions, any realizations? Yes, ma'am.
So, if you're able to see all the beings waiting to enter, are you saying if you chant, if you can see them,
Yeah. If you go out at night, it's very easy. I don't think anybody even needs to chant. See, devotees are made aware of what they are. People can see and not know what they're looking at. They can be staring directly at a manifestation of something that God is giving them to reveal them the truth of, and they disregard it because they're not looking for it. If you are looking for it, you can see what you're looking for. And we have to know, it would seem that just by the realization of how many seeds in one city there are, how many plants there are requiring the filling of their seeds with life force. And that would help us to understand how many millions have to be coming here in order to take those positions. And then when we look in the wilderness, how many, at every moment, how many forms of life are leaving their bodies? They're going to be replaced. Yeah, it's amazing. I still don't know whether this planet is growing or shrinking. Because you have two principles working. Look at fire. You can take the mass of a sequoia, the mass of which may be, huge, almost a square mile in mass. And one fire, in a matter of hours, can cause that mass to do nothing. Air, like little ashes. When you wash ash away, there's no remains at all of ash. Isn't it? So even that we consider a big mass that can be turned into just what we consider even a pile of dust. That pile of dust is not, when water comes, pile of dust is even gone. Which is evidence. Everything that appears comes from that which can't even be seen. Is it growing or is it shrinking? So maybe staying the same. The balance there, but see, there was a time in which there was one human on it. Now there are a million humans on it. Billions on it. They're consuming, their growth is being looked at as that which they are taking from the earth. But if that is so, then the earth doesn't have as much. Then the earth is shrinking for them to be able to grow. But is that what's happening? Are they manifesting from the soul what is appearing in this earth? Because if you analyze how it grows, you take a pot. I would like to see that this would be an experiment to do. You take an aquarium, put seeds along the side of the aquarium, put cameras on there that can see microscopically what is being absorbed. Weigh every single amount, every drop of water that goes into that aquarium. Know exactly the weight before the seeds are planted of the earth that's in there. And then every day record how much weight has been added and how much weight has been lost. And could you determine whether the earth is growing or shrinking by that? I don't know. See, then you got the imbalance of what human beings are doing. They say, it is said, when a human being causes a fire, it does more harm than those caused by natural disasters. Simultaneously, while it is said that natural disasters are responsible for more deaths than any other force, and even human beings doing to one another. It's peculiar, isn't it? And the way the earth is, everything about the earth's being, when analyzed, even scientifically, but what to speak of transcendentally, there are mystical aspects to creation that we take for granted every day and pass by the aspects of every day because of our constant exposure to it. But miracles are happening in front of our eyes, and we don't see them as such. And so life can be itself a miracle. And Krishna is giving us the ability to make the entirety of our life a song. Our whole life can be a song, a glorious song about Krishna's own person, about Krishna's own being, and his energy, and the love that provides us the experience of. Wow. Running out of time here, running over time. Anybody have any other comments, questions, or other things? John, Shrimadbhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for everything you've done to bring us these truths. Krishna.